Welcome to day 7 of the Mind Hacking 21-day program. I'm Sir John Hargrave. The topic for today is negative thought loops. And I'm going to share 3 deeply revealing personal anecdotes and how I used 3 separate mind hacks to get to the root of these. Negative thought loops are the unhelpful self-talk that goes on in our mind. It's like bugs in computer code. So we're trying to debug our minds and get to the root problem thought. Now, the way we become aware of these negative thoughts is looking for areas of mental pain or mental friction or just a persistent thought that we can't seem to shake. And the goal is to trace these thoughts back down to their root, then to articulate the thought in a single sentence. And there are 3 mind hacks that you can use for this. The first one is called the 5 whys. And you simply ask the question, why? 5 times, keeping the focus on yourself. For example, I used to always be uncomfortable around people. I'd be talking with somebody and not really listening to what they were saying because I was so self-conscious about my posture or my teeth or my hair or whatever. So I asked, why am I so self-conscious? Because I'm concerned what they'll think about me. Why? Because people are judgmental. Why? Because I need their approval. Why? Because people's opinions matter to me. Why? Because I don't feel comfortable with who I am. So there's the problem thought. In a short sentence, I don't feel comfortable with who I am. And once you get that negative loop into a sentence like that, you can start to reprogram it with its positive equivalent, like I'm comfortable in my own skin, which today I am. The second debugging technique is called worst case scenario. And whenever you have one of these persistent negative thoughts, you just ask yourself, what's the worst case scenario? For example, when I left my day job to start my own business, I would sometimes have these moments of anxiety, especially when some big unforeseen problem arose. At one point, we had 2 or 3 big clients, and we lost one of them. And I remember sitting there with my head in my hands, wondering how we were going to make it through. And what helped me was asking, what's the worst case scenario? The worst case scenario was that the company would be a total failure and no one would want to hire me, and then a meteor collides with the earth. But playing out the absolute worst case usually showed me there were many contingency plans and alternate solutions I could take if things got really bad, which they never did. So it helped. The third technique is called third-person perspective. My mind used to always remind me of dumb stuff I had done in the past. And believe me, there was a lot of dumb stuff to choose from. Didn't really run out of material. And it would just pick random times to spring this stuff on me. Like I'd be sitting there, minding my own business. My mind would say, hey, remember that time you bombed up on stage? Whoa, that was a shiner. And I was starting to develop nervous tics just from wincing at all these embarrassing memories. Third-person perspective is where you just sit across from yourself and say, what would I say to someone who was telling me this? And the answer for me was usually, it is really not worth worrying about that time you bombed on stage. You are probably the only person on earth who even remembers. Really. You need to let it go. So it's very helpful, and you can ask yourself questions like a therapist. For example, is it a recurring problem? Yes. Can you fix it? No. Why is it bothering you then? Because it drains my self-confidence. So what's the problem in a sentence? I'm an idiot. These are our darkest thoughts, aren't they? They undermine us. They sabotage our efforts. Third-person perspective can really help you pull those dark thoughts into the light. Right now, we're going to do a simple concentration exercise. Don't try to debug your mind just yet. Right now, just relax, and the debugging will come much more easily afterward. So find a comfortable place to sit. Get your body in a comfortable position. And we're going to focus on the breath, focusing on the inhalations and the exhalations, long, deep, and slow. And we're going to focus on consciously relaxing our entire body. As we breathe, we're going to breathe into our body, starting with the feet, breathing up into the legs and the knees, the thighs, the groin. It's a funny word, groin. The belly. And then picture breathing all the way up your spinal column and letting that breath just radiate outward into your back, your chest, your shoulders, through the arms, the hands, and the fingers, all the way out to the tips of the fingers. And then that breath permeating every cell of your neck and your face and your head. That oxygen flowing through your body, enlivening and invigorating every cell of your body. And now for a few minutes, we're going to focus on the breath at the nostrils. As you breathe in, picture that breath flowing into your body. As you breathe out, try to get that feeling of deepening your relaxation, the same way that you relax into a warm bubble bath. Breathe in, that cleansing breath, and breathe out deeper into relaxation. If you notice your mind wandering, award yourself a point and refocus your concentration on the breath. I'll do it along with you. Here we go. Now, in this state of focused concentration, ask yourself, what is one problem area of my life? Let the answer come. Now ask yourself, what are the actions I take to make that a problem? What are the actions that I am responsible for that contribute to that problem? Now ask your mind, what are the thoughts that lead to those actions? What are the persistent thoughts that lead to or contribute to these actions? Finally, ask yourself, are there emotions that are tied into those thoughts? Are there emotions bundled with the thoughts? Let your mind put a name to those emotions. Once more, repeat to yourself the emotion, the thought, the action, and the problem. See it as a package or a little machine that's driving this area of pain or friction or discomfort in your life. And open your eyes. We have an acronym in mind hacking, METAL, and it stands for My Emotion, Thought, Action, Loop. The emotion, thought, action loop drives your life. Before you act, you have a thought. This is a simple, easily observable fact. And that thought is generally bundled with or preceded by an emotion. So our emotions drive our thoughts drive our actions, and our actions determine the course of our lives. So whenever we have these areas of pain, debugging them back to the METAL, my emotion, thought, action loop, is a very useful thing to do. we can use the 3 mind hacks that we learned today to help us reverse engineer back into the metal. Again, method number 1, the 5 whys. Method number 2, worst case scenario. And method number 3, third person perspective. Use these tools. They are incredibly helpful. When you are able to articulate the negative loops in your life, you are able to take them captive. It's like getting an animal in a cage, and then you can start to reprogram your mind. Day 7 is now complete. Mark it off in the mind hacking book or on your practice sheet or in the app, which you can download at www.mindhacky.ng. Give yourself a reward, lock in today's positive habit, and I will see you tomorrow. In the meantime, hack hard and prosper.